For 721 days, 5-year-old Harmony Montgomery did not exist to the world. She didn't attend school, she didn't visit a doctor, no family holidays were documented, and no welfare checks were called. In the eyes of state databases, child protection agencies, and family courts across 2 state lines, Harmony was safe. In reality, she was already gone. Between December 2019 and late 2021, while authorities assumed she was living with her biological father, Harmony's remains were being moved across northern New England, stuffed into a duffel bag, jammed into a red cooler, hidden in the ceiling drywall of a crowded family homeless shelter, placed into a restaurant's commercial freezer, pushed through public streets in a baby stroller, and finally loaded into a rented U-Haul that crossed the Tobin Bridge in the dead of night. Her father, Adam Montgomery, a career felon with a history of documented violence, sat in a courtroom and admitted to abusing her corpse, but he denied pulling the trigger. He denied throwing the fatal punch, and to this very second, he refuses to utter a single word about where he left her body. This case exposes the absolute collapse of child welfare oversight in America, but it leaves 3 devastating questions wide open. First, how did 2 separate state child protection agencies lose an abused, visually impaired child for over 2 full years without a single person noticing? Second, what truly happened inside that broken-down Chrysler Sebring in the winter of 2019, and who delivered the final fatal blows? And third, with the New Hampshire Supreme Court throwing out Adam Montgomery's second-degree murder conviction on procedural grounds, where does that leave the final search for Harmony's resting place? Welcome back to AMC True Crime. Today, we investigate the harrowing, meticulous truth behind the disappearance, the cover-up, and the ongoing fight to bring Harmony Montgomery home. To understand how a child vanishes into thin air, you have to understand who Harmony Renee Montgomery was when the cameras weren't flashing. Born on June 7, 2014, Harmony was a child who fought for life from her very first breath. She was born blind in her right eye due to visual impairment conditions, wearing thick, signature glasses that her foster parents remembered her adjusting constantly with tiny hands. Those who cared for her in the foster care system described her as infectious. She was obsessed with Minnie Mouse. She loved singing loudly in the living room. She took immense pride in being an older sister, holding her baby brother Jameson with an instinctive, protective tenderness. Harmony's life was fractured from infancy. Her biological mother, Crystal Sorey, struggled openly and repeatedly with severe substance use disorder. Because of this, Harmony spent the vast majority of her early formative years bouncing between foster homes and temporary protective placements under the supervision of the Massachusetts Department of Children and Families. In foster care, Harmony experienced stability. Her foster family provided structured medical care for her vision, regular meals, emotional safety, and an environment where a little girl could just be a little girl. Her biological father, Adam Montgomery, was largely an abstraction during those first 4 years. He was incarcerated. He was dealing with his own deep-seated addiction issues, violent outbursts, and a lengthy criminal record that included shooting a man in the head during an armed robbery in Massachusetts back in 2014. Yet, in February 2019, a Massachusetts juvenile court judge made a fateful, catastrophic decision. Despite Adam Montgomery's violent history, despite the fact that he had never parented Harmony independently for any meaningful length of time, and despite no interstate home study being completed in the state of New Hampshire where Adam lived, legal and physical custody of 4-year-old Harmony was stripped from foster care and handed directly to Adam Montgomery. Harmony was placed in the back of a car and driven across state lines into Manchester, New Hampshire. She was now isolated with Adam and his wife, Kayla Montgomery. Around Easter of 2019, Crystal Sorey had a brief FaceTime video call with Harmony. Crystal would later testify under oath that during that brief video conversation, she saw a shadow of fear on her daughter's face. Harmony appeared quiet, withdrawn, subdued, a haunting contrast to the vibrant toddler she had seen months prior. That Easter call in April 2019 was the last time Crystal Sorey ever saw her daughter alive. For the next 2 years, Crystal reached out frantically. She sent messages on Facebook. She called phone numbers that had been disconnected. She drove to addresses in Manchester, knocking on doors only to be greeted by strangers or silence. Adam blocked her. Kayla blocked her. When Crystal contacted local police departments and social service agencies in 2020, she was met with administrative dead ends. Because Adam had legal custody granted by a judge, authorities treated the situation as a routine parental custody squabble. Nobody went inside the home. Nobody checked on the blind 5-year-old girl. Harmony was completely off the grid. How does a child slip through the cracks of 2 modern state governments in the year 2019? The answer lies in a bureaucratic black hole known as the Interstate Compact on the Placement of Children, or ICPC. Under standard child safety guidelines, when a child under state welfare custody is moved across state borders to live with a parent or guardian, an ICPC assessment is supposed to be triggered. That means the receiving state, in this case, New Hampshire's Division for Children, Youth and Families, DCYF, must send a caseworker to inspect the home, assess the parent's income, run criminal background checks, and verify that the environment is safe. In Harmony's case, that assessment never happened. The Massachusetts court concluded that because Adam was a biological parent, the ICPC did not technically apply under their interpretation of the law. They sent Harmony to Manchester without notifying New Hampshire DCYF that a high-risk child had entered their borders. And the danger began almost immediately. In July 2019, mere months after Harmony arrived in Manchester, Adam Montgomery's great-uncle, Kevin Montgomery, walked into the family's home on Guilford Street. What Kevin witnessed made his stomach turn. He saw 5-year-old Harmony standing in the corner of the room with a severe, swollen black eye. Kevin confronted Adam on the spot. He demanded to know what happened to the little girl. According to Kevin Montgomery's sworn testimony, Adam didn't offer an excuse about falling off a bicycle or bumping into furniture. Instead, Adam snarled with pride. "I bashed her around the house." Adam claimed he had struck the 5-year-old in the face because she was left in charge of watching her infant half-brother, and the baby had started crying. Kevin Montgomery immediately contacted New Hampshire DCYF. A caseworker was dispatched to the home. The worker observed Harmony's bruised eye. When questioned, Adam claimed Harmony had been playing with a toy and accidentally struck herself. The caseworker closed the intake. The injury was ruled unfounded for child abuse. Harmony was left in the home. Think about the sheer magnitude of this failure. A relative reports a direct confession of physical violence against a child. A caseworker sees the physical injury on a 5-year-old's face. And yet, the system's apparatus concluded there was no immediate threat. That July 2019 encounter was the last official time any government employee or child welfare official laid eyes on Harmony Montgomery. From that moment onward, the walls closed in around her. By late November 2019, the Montgomery household had collapsed into absolute chaos. Adam and Kayla Montgomery were evicted from their home on Guilford Street. Addicted to illicit substances, jobless, and destitute, they were forced into homelessness. Their entire world was compressed into the cabin of a silver 2010 Chrysler Sebring. Inside that small sedan were 5 human beings: Adam, Kayla, their 2 biological infant sons, and 5-year-old Harmony. The winter of 2019 in Manchester was brutally cold. The family lived in parking lots, sleeping under dirty blankets, surviving on fast food and infant formula. The car's engine was run intermittently to keep the cabin from freezing. Under this extreme pressure, Harmony became the primary target of Adam Montgomery's uncontrollable rage. According to extensive, chilling testimony delivered by Kayla Montgomery during the 2024 murder trial, Harmony was potty trained, but the trauma, physical abuse, and lack of access to regular facilities caused her to have accidents in the car. On the morning of December 7, 2019, the Sebring was driving between parking lots in Manchester. Kayla testified that Harmony had another bathroom accident in the back seat. When Adam smelled it, he snapped. While driving the vehicle through traffic, Adam turned around in the driver's seat, extended his arm into the back, and began raining closed-fist punches down onto the 5-year-old's head and face. He didn't hit her once. He didn't hit her twice. Kayla testified that every time the car stopped at a red traffic light, Adam would pivot and strike Harmony repeatedly with full force. At one point during this horrific assault, Harmony began crying out, whimpering and groaning in severe pain. Adam pulled the vehicle into a Burger King parking lot. He did not inspect her injuries. He did not pull her out of the vehicle to check her breathing. He did not drive to an emergency room 3 minutes away. Instead, Adam Montgomery ordered food through the drive-through window. He parked the car, sat in the front seat, and ate his meal, while his 5-year-old daughter lay dying in the seat behind him, under a thin blanket. Kayla testified that Harmony continued to groan softly for roughly 5 minutes before slipping into complete silence. Hours later, when the family drove to another parking lot and the car broke down, Adam reached into the back seat to wake Harmony up. She was stiff. Her skin was ice cold. She was dead. At that moment, any human instinct would lead a parent to call 911, to face the reality of what occurred. Adam Montgomery's only instinct was self-preservation. Kayla testified that Adam took a black duffel bag, forced Harmony's tiny body inside by folding her limbs, zipped it closed, and placed it inside the trunk of a friend's borrowed vehicle. For the next several days, that duffel bag sat in the freezing trunk, while Adam and Kayla figured out how to hide the evidence of a murder. What followed over the next 3 months is one of the most grotesque chronicles of corpse concealment in modern American legal history. In late December 2019, Adam and Kayla secured a room at the family's first homeless shelter on Lake Avenue in Manchester. They couldn't leave the duffel bag in a broken-down car on the street where city workers might tow it, so Adam brought the duffel bag inside the shelter. Inside their assigned room, Adam stood on a piece of furniture, lifted a ceiling acoustic tile, and shoved the duffel bag containing Harmony's body into the ceiling crawl space next to an air vent. Harmony was suspended above their heads while they slept, ate, and cared for their other children. As the weeks passed, the shelter's heating system blew hot air through the vents. Other residents on the floor began reporting a foul, unbearable odor in the hallway. Shelter staff investigated, assuming a rodent had died in the walls. Liquid began seeping through the ceiling tile directly onto the floor of the Montgomery room. Realizing the ceiling was no longer viable, Adam climbed back up, retrieved the decomposing remains, and transferred Harmony into a plastic trash bag, which was then placed inside a large, red and white igloo cooler. Kayla Montgomery's mother testified at trial that she visited the apartment building where the family later stayed and actually saw the red cooler sitting in the common hallway. She had no idea that her step-granddaughter's remains were inside. She even left money on top of the cooler for Kayla to buy groceries. By early 2020, Adam Montgomery was working a shift job as a line cook and dishwasher at the Portland Pie Company, a popular pizza restaurant in downtown Manchester. The cooler was becoming too risky to keep at their temporary living quarters. Adam devised a plan so brazen, so chilling, it sounds like fiction. He transferred Harmony's remains into an oversized canvas maternity hospital tote bag. Kayla Montgomery loaded her 2 infant sons into a side-by-side double stroller. She placed the canvas tote bag holding Harmony between the 2 babies' legs, covering it with blankets. Kayla then walked the stroller through the public sidewalks of Manchester, across several city blocks, directly to the back entrance of the Portland Pie Company. Adam took the tote bag from his wife, walked into the commercial kitchen, and placed his daughter's body inside the restaurant's walk-in freezer, storing it alongside restaurant food supplies. Weeks later, when Adam and Kayla moved into an apartment on Union Street, Adam brought the bag home and placed it inside their domestic freezer. In February 2020, Adam realized the body would eventually decompose when thawed. Trial records reveal that he went to a local Home Depot, purchasing limestone and a grinder. In the apartment bathroom, Adam placed Harmony's frozen remains into the bathtub under running water to thaw the body, attempting to coat the remains in lime to accelerate biological breakdown. Kayla Montgomery testified under direct examination that she walked past the bathroom and saw the scene. Her testimony in court was devastating. She wasn't just bones. She had skin, she had teeth, she had hair. I could still tell it was Harmony. In March 2020, Adam enlisted a friend to help him rent a U-Haul moving van. Toll transponder data, fuel records, and bridge surveillance show that U-Haul van crossing the Tobin Bridge in Boston multiple times in the middle of the night. When Adam Montgomery returned that rental truck, the canvas tote bag was gone. Harmony was gone. It was not until November 2021, 2 years after Harmony was killed, that the legal machinery finally ground into gear. Crystal Sorey, after dozens of rejected inquiries, finally reached a Manchester police supervisor who listened. The officer checked state welfare registries, school enrollment databases, and medical insurance claims across New Hampshire. Harmony Montgomery had not had a single insurance claim or school enrollment record since 2019. The Manchester Police Department launched an all-out missing persons investigation. On New Year's Eve 2021, officers located Adam Montgomery living in a makeshift tent in a wooded area off Harville Street in Manchester. When detectives confronted him, demanding to know where Harmony was, Adam stared at the ground. He claimed Harmony was fine, that he had delivered her to Crystal Sorey in late 2019, and that he hadn't seen her since. When pressed for details, phone numbers, or dates, Adam shut down. "I have nothing to say to you. Arrest me." Police did arrest him, initially for the July 2019 assault reported by his uncle Kevin. The turning point in the case came when prosecutors applied intense legal pressure to Kayla Montgomery. Facing multiple counts of perjury and state assistance fraud for continuing to collect food stamps for Harmony long after the girl was dead, Kayla agreed to a plea cooperation agreement. She laid out the entire timeline to state investigators. In February 2024, the state of New Hampshire brought Adam Montgomery to trial for second-degree murder, falsifying physical evidence, witness tampering, and abuse of a corpse. Adam Montgomery refused to sit in the courtroom for the vast majority of his trial, but his defense team used a tactical, high-risk strategy. They admitted on day one that Adam was guilty of falsifying evidence and abusing Harmony's corpse. They conceded that he moved the body in the cooler, the ceiling, the freezer, and the U-Haul. Why? Because they argued that Adam didn't murder Harmony. They claimed that Kayla was the one who killed her in the car, and that Adam was merely a desperate husband who helped cover up his wife's crime. The defense pointed out that Kayla had lied repeatedly to investigators for 2 years, that she only changed her story when faced with decades in prison, and that not a single piece of physical forensic evidence could prove who struck the fatal blow in that moving car. The jury took just over 2 days of deliberation. On February 22, 2024, they rejected the defense's claims. Adam Montgomery was found guilty on all counts, including second-degree murder. On May 9, 2024, the judge sentenced him to 45 years to life in state prison. It felt like justice had finally caught up to Harmony's killer, until June of 2026. In June 2026, the New Hampshire Supreme Court delivered a legal earthquake that left Harmony's family and prosecutors reeling. The state's highest court officially overturned Adam Montgomery's second-degree murder conviction. The reversal had nothing to do with Adam's innocence. Instead, the Supreme Court ruled that the trial judge committed a critical legal error regarding misjoinder of offenses. The court determined that the July 2019 assault charge, the incident where Adam gave Harmony a black eye, should have been tried completely separately from the December 2019 murder charge. The justices reasoned that the evidence proving the July assault was overwhelming, supported by multiple eyewitnesses and family members, whereas the murder charge rested almost entirely on the uncorroborated testimony of his co-defendant wife, Kayla. By joining both crimes into a single trial, the High Court ruled the jury was irreversibly prejudiced into believing Adam was a murderer simply because they knew he was an abusive father months earlier. The New Hampshire Attorney General's office immediately announced that they will retry Adam Montgomery for the murder of his daughter. Furthermore, the state emphasized that Adam will not walk free. His convictions for abuse of a corpse, falsifying evidence, witness tampering, and weapons offenses carry over 43 years of consecutive prison time that remain completely untouched. Yet, legally, the murder conviction is wiped clean pending a retrial. And through all the court filings, appeals, overturns, and procedural battles, the central tragedy remains unchanged. Harmony's body is still missing. Over the past several years, state police units, FBI forensic search teams, and volunteer searchers have combed through hundreds of acres of terrain across northern Massachusetts and southern New Hampshire. They used ground-penetrating radar along the marshes of Revere. They searched riverbanks along the Merrimack River. Adam Montgomery has been heard on recorded prison phone calls telling associates that investigators are wasting their time searching near the water. He knows where she is. He holds the final key to giving a 5-year-old girl a dignified, sacred burial. And he uses that secret as his last remaining piece of power over the world. Harmony Montgomery was failed by the mother who lost her to addiction. She was failed by the father who beat her to death in the back seat of a sedan. She was failed by the stepmother who walked her remains past strangers in a baby stroller. And she was failed by a child welfare bureaucracy that treated her custody file like meaningless paperwork, losing track of a vulnerable human being for 721 days. Harmony was declared legally deceased by a New Hampshire judge, so her biological mother could pursue civil wrongful death claims against the agencies that failed to protect her. Legislative reforms, termed Harmony's laws, have been introduced to mandate stricter interstate child welfare communication. Laws can change, case files can be updated, but nothing can undo what happened on that December morning in 2019. Before we close this file tonight, I want to ask you the question that courtrooms and legal arguments often try to avoid. When a system knows a child is in danger, sees the physical evidence of abuse, and still chooses to look away, who holds the ultimate moral responsibility for what follows? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read through your perspectives on every single case we cover. As the state of New Hampshire prepares for the retrial of Adam Montgomery, and as new search zones are established for Harmony's remains, we will be tracking every court motion, appeal, and investigative lead. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you do not miss our upcoming case update as soon as the state files its new trial date. Rest in peace, Harmony. You are not forgotten. Thank you for watching.